Hey there YouTube, this is sjm4306 back with another video. This time, if you can hopefully see, I have an Ender 3 Pro here, and this is not sponsored or anything, but using the funds that I've made from my sponsorship with JLC PCB, I was able to buy a new 3D printer because my current printer isn't doing so hot, and I've been actually replacing, a couple of the parts recently because of problems that it's been having with the extruder and the drive gear on that, and leveling, and a couple other problems I'm having with the bed. So I figured it's probably due time for me to get a new 3D printer, and I can just donate the old one to like a local school or hackerspace or something, because it does require a lot of like manual maintenance and work. So I'll just write up like a simple set of instructions for them, and if they want it, then fine. If not, and I don't know. I'll find someone local I can give it to. But anyway, so what we're going to do in this video is unbox this and actually assemble it, and hopefully I get enough time to actually run a quick test print before the end of the day. If not, I'll come back tomorrow, but it'll be in the same video. I'll set up a test print and we'll run it and see how this, if it works well. It should. So these are actually pretty cheap. This ended up being about $200, and this is the Pro model. The regular Ender 3 is, I believe it's like 160, 170, so it's a little bit cheaper, but I think the Pro model is actually a little bit better in terms of like the build construction is more stable, the base, and the power supply is better on this guy. So I opted obviously for this guy. Anyway, let me just quickly get this box open and out of the way and get the contents out. So give me 1 sec. Okay, so here we are. So all we have is a protective sheet of styrofoam, and we're right in. Just looks like a little bit of a user card or warranty card, something like that. Instructions for assembly. Might need to reference it, but for the most part, I think I've figured out from a couple videos I watched. This is the magnetic build surface. So I normally print on glass, and I still might print on glass, but I will give this guy a try. This is actually supposed to be really easy. Just kind of peels off and your parts snap off. But like I heard, it is a bit of a pain to get aligned. So yeah, it might kind of take a little bit of practice. It does kind of want to snap down any which way. Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. So we have, let's see, a little baggie here, and this is the LCD with the control knob, and yeah, just the circuit board on the back there. We'll set that to the side. We have a little bit of cardboard retaining the power supply. Check that guy out. And this is, I believe, a Meanwell, which is like a nice industrial supply. And we are going to want to switch this right away. It's set on 220. I'm in the US, so we need to set this to 115, I believe it is. Yeah, 115. So it needs to be in the 115 selection for me. If you're elsewhere in the world, reference whatever your supply is. It does have a nice fuse, power on-off switch, and the IEC connector. My current printer, I just plug it into the wall, and there's no switch or anything. I probably could have added one, but it's a bit of a pain because I always have to keep plugging unplugging it. But yeah. And this is I think this is an XTC connector. A lot of RC planes and stuff use this connector to LiPos, and they're using that as a high current connector to the actual main printer itself. So we'll set this aside. And the power supply does have a fan. Apparently it only comes on when it's doing something grunny, but for the most part it runs pretty cool. Here's the actual hot end extruder. I think I have to kind of get the rest of the printer out first though. So we're gonna gingerly try to get this out. Okay, so first off, we have our kind of V-slot aluminum extrusion bars. We're going to have to attach those. And I think now, hopefully, yeah, there we go. Pull this out. And this guy looks like is pre-attached to this extruder. And not sure, I think this is a V10. Oh, it comes with the silicone sock, so that's nice. And everything on here is basically sliding wheels on the aluminum extrusion, so it doesn't use linear bearings or LM8Us or anything like that on cylindrical rails. So I'm just going to set this aside. You can see the ribbon on the bottom for that LCD. Set this somewhere safe. Okay, and we're getting down to the last few parts. This guy is the X motor, as well as the extruder. Now, my previous printer was a direct drive, and I really like direct drives. This is a Bowden, obviously, so there's going to be a flex tube going to the hot end, and the extruder is fixed on the body. So it relies on that PTFE tube to slide the film in, and it pushes it kind of from a distance. So this might have trouble printing like flexible filaments. I heard it's not that big of a problem. It's pretty well designed. But I've never printed flexible, so get this out of the way. And we have more goodies. Yeah, another set of interesting. Okay, this is the vertical, the Z-axis lead screw, and it's kind of tucked in with some more aluminum profile cuts or whatever. And I believe this is the top. And it's pretty much almost all metal construction, so that'll be definitely nice. My old printer was it's laser cut acrylic, and it was pretty thick, but it's nowhere near really stable. Here, this is the reel for it sits on top for the filament itself, and I should be able to unscrew this or something. Okay. So you only kind of do quarter turn and then pull out. I thought it just screwed totally in. That's interesting. Might as well just get that in right now. There, just finger tight. We have a bag of goodies. We have some, looks like white PLA, just for testing. It's not that much. It's, I don't know, probably like a couple meters or something. And we have, let's see, some part, it looks like an idler wheel, probably for the X-axis. We have a couple extra tips, or an extra tip, it looks like, some clips for the PTFE tubing for the extrusion, well, for the filament guide. And we have some like locking parts for the end of the filament guide tube. We have a axis, like a limit switch. That's for homing, and I think that's for the Z-axis, not sure though. And finally, we have another one of these kind of guide wheels. I'm guessing this is for, I don't know, the Z-axis or X-axis, I don't know. One of those two. We have a bag of goodies. Not quite sure what some of these are. Obviously screws and your timing belt, and profile end caps. So just to cover it so you don't hurt yourself on it. There's a little like needle thing. I'm guessing that's for cleaning out your hot end if you get a jam. And lots of zip ties, screws, a little wrench, and side cutters. So really nice that it comes with side cutters. I always use those for many things. And very nicely enough, comes with a little scraper for in case you need to scrape something off the bed. But I would advise against doing that. That's a quick way to ruin the surface on your bed. You have an IEC power connector, good, and what looks like the Z stepper motor, and it has this kind of flexible coupler. Not really flexible, but it's a coupler to the lead screw. And think that's it. Just a random piece of foam in there, I guess. Okay, all in all, that took me, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. I kind of screwed up and I got impatient and I didn't follow the instructions exactly on a couple parts. So I kind of caused myself a little bit of a headache in terms of routing, or in terms of like getting this part, the x-axis mounted and everything. And I did screw up pretty badly. This arm I had upside down. When you look in the instructions, they actually tell you, they give you a little warning. It says shorter. Basically, there's holes for the Z motor, and they have to be at the bottom. And I had screwed the part upside down, so they were at the top. So I had to undo that, which was kind of a bit of a pain. But got there in the end. It's all together. Let's do a power-up smoke test. I have everything plugged in. I zip tied the cables. Should be good to go, so hopefully it doesn't blow up. Okay, I'm getting something on the screen, so hear the fan kick in. And let's just do a home about printer. Huh. Okay, yeah, it's running Marlin version 0.006. That's interesting. It is marked May 30th, 2020. And okay, looks kind of similar to my printer's user interface. Of course, my printer is running Marlin as well, but a much older version. But let's auto home. Okay. Good, the bed is moving back. And now the Z-axis. One thing I forgot to mention is it actually does come with a micro SD card. You can connect to it via USB. Looks like micro USB if you want to do like printing direct from your computer, or micro SD, which I much prefer. And this does have, if the power goes out, it'll remember where it left off in the print, and once you reconnect it to power, it'll continue printing where it left off. should be pretty useful. And here's the SD card. Let's see. There we go. It's a NetTac. Yeah, NetTac. I don't know. 8 gigabyte micro SD card. So it's a little freebie that they include. So that's nice. And it has a little tiny USB reader. It's a little bit finicky to get the card into, but yeah, that'll work. Whatever. It's a freebie. The awkward moment where you try to figure out which direction to insert the SD card because it's not marked. Okay, it goes in upside down. That would have been nice if they silk screened something and put a sticker there just to let you know. It says the card was inserted. Print from TF, and there's, yeah, a couple models. Cat, dog, pig, and software for when you plug this into a computer, how to, I guess, set up the slicer. And there's also a user manual and a troubleshooting guide and model, which I have no idea what that is. But yeah, there are 3 things that you can print on it. I think I'm going to opt for my own slice model, so I'm going to get the software set up on my PC, slice something that I want to test out the printer, how it works. Okay, oh my goodness, let me tell you, so getting these square and everything level is absolutely critical, because for the longest time I couldn't actually get the bed level at all. Like, this side was way too low and this side was way too high. So this actually, it was the x-axis bar was kind of tilted slightly because the alignment was a little bit weird, and then also the frame wasn't quite square, so it was like binding. I had tons of issues. Finally got that handled, so I leveled it just using a piece of paper. This does not have auto leveling, unfortunately. It might be something I'd add, but from what I hear, once you manually level it, it's pretty good, because as long as you screwed together the aluminum frame tightly enough, it's not going to shift or anything. So I have a few upgrades that I want to print that I sliced in Cura. I did not use the slicer that they provided. I prefer Cura. But let's see, what did I call it? Ender Mods. There we go. So here goes nothing. Let's hope that it actually works. Okay, I basically restarted the print and manually leveled. What I actually do when I normally print on my other printer, I manually leveled it as I saw it printing the perimeters so that I can get it just right. And it looks like it's sticking now, and it's leveled, and it's actually printing. It's not peeling off the bed. So one thing I will note, this is a heck of a lot quieter than my other printer, and I've seen that there are some mods you can do to it to make it even quieter. So anyway, I guess I'll let this print, and we'll see. We'll come back in, like, I think an hour and a half, 2 hours, and see how this all turned out. Okay, I think it was like an hour and a half later, the print's finished. First test prints on these. Let's just see how easy they are to peel off. Apparently, yeah, they just sort of peel off, and that's sort of it. Now there is like a little skirt that it sort of like a perimeter printed. I'm gonna want to get that off as well, but that might kind of be more of a pain. Anyway, I'll do that off camera. But it does look like there is some stringing, so maybe retraction settings need to be altered. But other than that, I'm used to having on my prints a little bit of Z-wobble, because on the printer that I have, there's an acrylic frame and there's dual Z steppers, and if you're off by just a little bit, and you know the lead screws are a little bit bent, which is more often than not the case, you're gonna get a little bit of wobble. But look at this. This is like perfectly smooth. That's crazy. And the texture from the bed is on the print, obviously. It's okay. It's sort of like a matte. I like printing on glass, so I much prefer glass. But the top surface doesn't have any voids or anything, which is a problem that my printer recently has developed, and I think it was due to maybe the extruder gear is wearing down. But yeah, this printer does not have any of those issues. Obviously, it's brand new. But let's just see. This guy is supposed to sit on here and allow me. Give me 1 sec. Okay, it took a little bit of force to get in there. It's a little bit of a tight print, but it definitely did, and works. Basically a knob so that I can easily manually purge the extruder or load filament by disabling the stepper. So that's really handy to have. Additionally, this is a shim for the Z-axis motor, and look at that. Nice and smooth. The top surface on this, because it was so thin, it's only, I think, 2 layers thick, didn't come out so great, but everything else is just great. And one thing that I'm noticing, it has a tiny little bit of like rippling features on a face. So oftentimes with printers, you might have a little bit of ringing, and I think that might be due to like inertia of both the bed as well as the X carriage head. And if your belts maybe aren't tight enough, or there's some play or backlash, it can cause that when it suddenly tries to go in the other direction. So this luckily doesn't have any really bad like ghosting or anything like that. There's a tiny little bit, but barely noticeable. Top surface looks fantastic. And these guys are little clips to hold the ribbon for the display. And if we just push the bed back, the display cable is just kind of flapping in the breeze, so these will actually clip onto the extrusion and across the ribbon itself. So I'll install these on my own time. But anyway, so I'm going to print out probably a lot of other upgrade parts for this printer to make it a little bit better. And once I'm done with that, then yeah, this will go in full service in place of my other 3D printer. Okay, some upgrades I've done. I printed out a little toolbox sort of thing that sits in here. That's awesome. I printed out a back. You probably can't really see it. There's a plastic cap on the back of the LCD so the board's not exposed. Printed out little clips to hold the ribbon flat against the back so it's not wobbling in the wind. I printed out, let's see, a new cover for the nozzle there, the airflow in the part cooler, and it points right at the nozzle. So the other one was just kind of a cup that just like went like this and just directed all the airflow just kind of all over the place. So I printed that. We'll see how that goes. This is the first print I'm doing actually with that nozzle attached. And just as a quick test on this gold filament, I printed out this this Legend of Zelda emblem here, and it turned out really good. A lot less stringing than my last printer, so that's definitely positive. Adhesion's pretty good. You do have to kind of double check the leveling before you do a print, but I'm just printing out a little container for DS carts. It's a Mario question block basically out of this gold filament. So anyway, yeah, if you guys are interested in 3D printing videos and whatnot, I will definitely put this guy through its paces, and you will definitely see it in future videos as well. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.